Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we're going to take a look at the progress what I have made on my daft Dreadnought army. Not just a Redemptor mob anymore, no, I've branched out. We now have Contemptors in there, in the mix, as you can see on the screen right now. I got a little bit bored of just building Redemptors, so I thought I'd branch out. A few Contemptors, maybe a couple of Leviathans, maybe a Deredeo, and all the other Dreadnoughts that you can possibly buy, because why not? But we now have 8 fully completed, table ready, and they've seen a couple of fights already, and so far the performance has not been terrible, surprisingly. So let's have a look at what we've done so far. So we'll start off with this guy, because I like this guy because he's ridiculous. So as you can see, we can attempt a Dreadnought, kitted out as a relic, 2 close combat weapons, and some Skaven nonsense on him, because I don't really know why, I just felt like doing something a bit mad. So yeah, not too displeased, but also not massively impressed with some of the paint stuff I've done on here, to be honest. Some of it I like and has worked really well, but I'm going to redo the kind of lightning effect. It's not random enough, it's a bit too thick, if I'm honest, but, you know, I didn't have time to repaint it before I used it in a game, so I just stuck with it. For the most part, though, I'm happy with this guy. He looks mad, there's no doubt about that. This stuff, like these kind of vials of things, are from the, I think it's the Storm Fiends kit, if I remember correctly, and the wheel on the back is from the Warp Lightning Cannon kit. Don't ask why he's got a giant wheel in his back, I just thought it looked cool. I'm not going to lie, that's basically how most of these have come about. I just thought it looked funky, so I put it on there. I am super happy with how the greens come out on these, if I'm honest. I do like the way the greens come out. There's still plenty of detail actually on the stuff, but it's a really bright, vibrant, like glowing green. In fact, actually, the recipe for that is really nice and simple. It is just Pallid Witch Flesh as a base. Then there's a fluorescent green that you can get. I can't remember the manufacturer, but I'll put a link to it in the description. And then I just put Hexwraith over the top. That's literally all it is. Don't need to do anything else to get that finish, which is, I mean, it's a nice colour for not a lot of steps of work. So this guy's got like a bit of rust over some of him, not like as rust covered as the others, but kind of a green glow coming through at the same time. Again, it's something that I'll probably touch up as I go along, but he's okay for the moment. He's good enough for the tabletop for now, and it's something that can be touched up later on. So that's the first Contemptor that we have. The second is this lad, who again has 2 close combat weapons. The rust on this guy is a little bit different. It's kind of almost a bit runic in places. There's a definite pattern to it. And I use the rust as like an emphasis for some of the like decorative sections. So where like the venerable stuff is on the chest, I used rust for that as well, just because I like the effect of it. And again, the green on the weapons, which are from the Morghast from Age of Sigmar, is done exactly the same way. Just a bit of Pallid Witch Flesh, some fluorescent green, and then some Hexwraith Flame over the top. But yeah, again, I'm pretty happy with this one. I didn't have a chance to use him in a game yet, but he's run exactly the same way. So I'd imagine he'll do all right when the time comes. So yeah, those are the 2 Contemptors. I'm pretty happy with both of them. I like the way they've come out. They're very different. They're definitely different, but they're not so different that they don't look like they belong in the same force. There's still like some unifying themes there that keep them consistent, especially when you look at just the overall nature of the rest of the Dreadnoughts in this army so far. So let's take a quick look at the others. Oh, I do have a very quick kit-bashed Tech Marine that I did. I needed a Tech Marine, I realised. I only had the one, I needed 2. The other one is nowhere near ready. This one was done very, very quickly. Painted the night before I went to Warhammer World, in fact. So a little bit lacking in places, but again, that was very much a rush job. It was like, oh god, I need 2 Tech Marines. I don't have 2. I'll throw this lad together. I had a Forge World Mark III. I think it's from the Praetor's kit, actually, lying around that I hadn't done anything with. So he's got a Mark IV head on, Power Fist, a massive shoulder pad again from the Skaven Storm Fiends kit, and the servo arm is actually made from part of a Nemesis Dreadnought. So the main bulk of it is a Nemesis Dreadnought support for the arms on that kit, and the claw at the end is made from 4 pieces from the Ambot kit, like the little face claw things that come in that kit. That's what That's what are making the digits on the end of the servo arm. So to be honest, for a very, very quick, like panicked rush job kit bash, I'm pretty happy with this guy. He's come out alright. The paint needs a lot of touching up, but like that's tabletop ready to me. That's like, if you put that down on the table, no one's going to go, I think you'll find that's not painted. It looks okay. It's good enough for now. Need to touch up the green a little bit. I missed a few spots, but as I say, that was like literally the night before. I was like, oh god, I need a second Tech Marine. I'd better kit bash something real quick to make this force actually playable, or I won't be able to use it. So yeah. Okay, let's have a look at the Redemptors themselves. So I'll try and keep them in order of the ones that I built, like what order I built them in. It might be a bit tricky because I can't remember exactly. This is the first one that I built, so this is RD01, and it's pretty standard. It is just an easy to build Redemptor. There's nothing really particularly special about it. A good way to tell the difference between a full fat Redemptor and an easy to build Redemptor is the cables back here. On the easy to build ones, they are not like separate. They are molded into the body. On the full fat ones, they are separate pieces that you attach. Apart from that, the rest of them, like the rest of the kit, is pretty much the same. The only difference is there's no, I think it's the Ironclad launcher on top. Was it the Icarus rocket pod, Ironclad rocket pod, one of the two. But it doesn't come with the little missile launcher on the top there, which the full fat ones do. I got round that on this one by finding the little missile launchers from a Forge World Ironclad Dreadnought that I had lying around in a bits box that I didn't know I had. Yes, I did find an entire Forge World Ironclad Dreadnought in a bits box. No, they don't make it anymore. I don't know how long I had it. It's this lad who has been repurposed, using the las cannons from a Typhon heavy siege tank, actually, into a sort of Mortis Dread, kind of. I didn't have the head, so he's got a Mark III head instead, which I've cut down. But yeah, the missiles on the Redemptor originally would have gone on this one. But I found the missile launchers before I found the body of the Dread. So he didn't get to keep them. They got utilised for something else. So yeah, this is the first one. And as I say, very little changed on this one. It's just the missile launchers, the slightly heretical spike on the shoulder. I mean, you know that he's loyalist because there's a Khorne banner that he's taken off someone on the ground there. That's how you know he's loyalist, obviously. I don't know why I'd expect him to be anything other than loyalist based on the look of him. A lot of the metal work on these is done using some Vallejo liquid metal paint. So there's liquid copper, liquid silver, and liquid gold. I really, really rate those paints. They're really nice to use. The only thing is they're a little bit tricky because they are actually metallic in some way, so you can't use water to mess with the brushes and stuff. It just doesn't clean it off, and it can mess the paint up itself, but it leaves a nice, like, smooth finish, which I really, really like. It's really easy to work with as well. So yeah, that's the first Redemptor that I did. The second one, if I remember correctly, I believe the second one was this chap here. In fact, if I look in the bottom, oh no, that's not the second one. That's the fifth one by the look of it. But this lad, again, easy to build Redemptor. For the most part, not really any different. The only change is the close combat weapon is the fist from an Imperial Knight. And I love the idea of having this massive, like, oversized god hand fist, but I felt like it needed something to denote how much more powerful that would be. And whilst I'm sure a Redemptor is not lacking in power, because of course it wouldn't be lacking in power, I thought it'd be fun to give it a little bit of extra. So it has the backpack from a Space Marine Centurion mounted on one, like, part of the front armour, and then 3 cables, again from the Centurion kit, coming out of around the backpack area into the arm, and then out of the shoulder pad and into the fist, which is very superfluous to requirements, but I don't know, it just added like an extra meaty feeling to him almost. It just seemed to make him like that much bulkier, you know, like that much more punchy. So yeah, again, with the easy to build ones, you can see that the cable is all the way up there. A lot of the finish is very ragged, it's very rough, but that's what I was going for, so I'm perfectly happy with it. And I've mostly used rust as like a secondary colour. It's like, it is wear and tear, but it's also excessive, but again, that's just how I ended up doing them because I really like the way it looked. And thinking about it, this is, I believe, the It's either the second or third one that I built, because the first three were all easy to build. In fact, it was the second one. So yeah, this is the third one. Again, another easy to build Redemptor. I really rate that kit. Honestly, it's really, really good. It's really handy. Something I didn't point out actually. So the easy to build does not come with the Onslaught Gatling cannon. It's only like the small one that goes on the fist. It only comes with a heavy flamer, but I wanted the Onslaught Gatling cannon on all of them just because I like the gun so much. So each one has got like a little kind of like a little semi-conversion just to act as that. Now, obviously, that is not a Onslaught Gatling cannon that's on the fist there. That is, in fact, a Storm Bolter from the Cataphractii set. But I wanted something that kind of denoted that it wasn't the heavy flamer, that it was something else. I mean, in terms of like massive kit bashes and changes to weaponry, worrying about that when you've got I believe it's a Gauss cannon of some kind from I want to say it's the Command Barge from the Necrons. That's probably a bigger change to try and explain away, but you know, it's fine. It's just a macroplasma incinerator. It's just slightly Necron-y in its appearance. I felt like having a gun that big and like weirdly proportioned, it looked odd. It looked as though it shouldn't be able to support it, even though, you know, clearly it would be able to. So I used the other kind of support from a Nemesis Dreadnought on there, so it hooks onto the top of the chassis and then it goes down onto the shoulder pad. And I used a bit of old exhaust as like a bracing strut for it there. The addition of the Havoc launcher was kind of an afterthought. It was because I then built 2 more artillery dreads, which is what I kind of classed this guy as, and they just looked so much more meaty and beefy than this one, and I wanted to kind of bring him up to standard. So yeah, again, all the green on these guys is done exactly the same way. It's the Pallid Witch Flesh, the fluorescent green, and then the Hexwraith Flame. But yeah, so that was the third one that I built, and the one with the giant fist was the second one after all. I was correct the first time. So for him to denote the Onslaught Gatling cannon, he's got a heavy bolter strapped alongside the Gatling cannon there. And for the first one, I believe I used a Grey Knight part for that. So yes, I did. So I can't remember what that's called. Silencer of some kind? I can't remember what it's called, like a Psy cannon of some description. But that is taking the place of the Onslaught Gatling cannon. It just counts as an Onslaught Gatling cannon, but I wanted to have something there that wasn't the heavy flamer, so you knew it wasn't a heavy flamer. This guy is the 4th one that I built, and he's the first one who's mounted on one of the amazing bases that Fluff and Fury made for me. Just said, hey, I've made this thing for you, would you like it? I was really blown away by it. It was such a nice thing to do. Which is, you can see it's got the channel logo on it. This guy is a bit sillier. I mean, it was getting silly. It was already getting silly. Like, the Imperial Knight Fist was kind of silly. The massive Gauss weaponry was definitely silly. Gauss, whatever. This one went a little bit more so, because that is, of course, the chainsword from an Imperial Knight. Now, it's pretty big. It hangs off the base. The dude does not stand up properly, and due to the nature of the chains, it cannot possibly move out far enough for it to stand up straight. But I don't really care. I just like the way it looks. It's so over the top and stupid. I don't know. I just really like how excessive it is. I did try mounting it further up, but it just didn't look right. Like, it kind of proportionally it looked right, but it didn't look like berserk enough. That's the only way I can describe it. It just didn't work. So I ended up kind of using the Imperial Knight parts to build it up towards, like, build it out so it was less compressed beneath the shoulder pad, and so it's got, like, it's a longer arm than you actually get on the others by far. It's like, it's easily twice the length, the arm itself, but it just seemed more, I don't know, it just seemed more feasible for swinging it round when it was that big. So it does look a little bit off balance in a way, but it also just looks really really brutal and metal, and that's the most important thing. And yeah, this guy got just covered in skulls, because look at the chainsword. Why would you not end up with a bunch of skull trophies if you have a chainsword of that size? And he does have a macro plasma incinerator at the moment anyway. That can be switched out for a heavy onslaught Gatling cannon. It just depends on what I decide to run him as. And this is where you see the difference between the like easy to build and the full fat ones as well, the Redemptors, because this has got the missile launcher there on top and an actual gap for it, whereas the easy to build don't. And you can see that these are separate, like these cables are separate. They're not flush against the body, they are separate parts. So there's actually a gap in there that you don't get on the other. And again, all of these are like really, really, really heavily weathered. So there's a lot of Nuln oil, there's a lot of sepia, then there's a lot of Nuln on top again. It gives a very, very grimy, like, it pools in places, which normally you don't want. But on this army, I did want that effect. I did want that really oily, grimy, rusty, just not properly maintained look to them. So I was kind of happy with it happy for it to just pool in places that normally you would want to get rid of. So that is the fourth one. The fifth that I built is this, which was the I want to say like the first artillery dread that I was properly happy with. I did like the one with the Necron weapon, but it lacked a certain something and I couldn't work out what. It was also an easy to build one, so it was a little harder to modify because it didn't come in as many pieces. This is the one where I put it together and I was like, that's exactly what I was going for. That is perfect. Like, I was aiming for this, and that's what I got. I really wish this was an actual loadout because I really like it. So this one has got the carapace mounted missile launcher from an Imperial Knight again. I've got an Imperial Knight that I just didn't bother to magnetize because I just wasn't going to run it as anything but that, so I had like the weapon sprue left over. The gold on here is that nice Vallejo liquid gold, which again I really, really like. The smaller Onslaught Gatling cannon was placed on top where the missile launcher would normally go. Technically, you can't shoot down with it, but who cares? And I just took the heavy Onslaught Gatling cannon and just switched it from one side to the other. I just wanted it to be on the other side for once. I could have easily put it like the right way round over there, but every other one that I'd done so far had the weapon on that side, and I just wanted to change it up. So if you wanted to, I reckon you probably could like switch all the components from one side to the other, but it would be a right faff, and I don't know if it's really worth it. I don't think it looks bad that way. And given the like up armored nature of it, I think it works. I think it works all right. The only difference that I've made to the sarcophagus of this one compared to a standard one is because you can actually put the sarcophagus on yourself and it can open and close if you want, which this one doesn't. You get the choice of two different types of these, so you get two different symbols. So what I did was I just took one of them, I moved it up, not much. Only by, that piece there, so that it almost covered the slit on the front, like in the sarcophagus itself. Moving it up and then cutting the bottom part of the other bit of armour and putting it in there has made this thing look so much bulky, and it's taken the gut away from the... It's taken the gut away. Like, it doesn't look like it's got a gut now. The other ones still have that classic Redemptor belly. This one, although it technically does, because that bit of armour is raised up, further, it changes the attitude of the model so much. It really alters the proportions in a very different way, which is... I still can't really explain why it looks so different, but it genuinely does. I mean, if we compare the first one that I made to this one, I mean, you can see there that raising that part of the armour up does make a significant amount of difference to the overall look of the model. It looks beefier, it looks more heavily armoured despite the gaps. Despite that gap between the armour at the top and the bottom, it just looks chunkier for some reason, and it really does a lot to get rid of that kind of gut look that the Redemptors have, which I know, is It's very divisive. Some people really like it, some people really hate it. But you can make it just go away with the standard kit with very little effort, to be honest. It did not take a lot of work to achieve that. So, yeah, it creates a very different look to it, which I really, really like. I'm trying to think what else I did differently with this thing. Oh, that was the other thing. The feet are from a Nemesis Dreadnought, so that gives it extra height as well. I also put like braces on the back of the legs, again from the Dreadnought kit. Don't actually need braces because missiles don't do that, but I just like the look of it. So a lot of this is based on, do I like the look of it? Yes. Okay, I'll do that then. There's very little actual like weapon logic going on, but you don't need that, do you really? Let's be honest. Yeah, so the feet are from a Nemesis Dreadnought, which gives it extra height, actually. It does make it a little bit taller than all the others. Well, no, that's not fair. It makes it a little taller than 4 of the others. It doesn't make it taller than 5 of the others, because the 6th and final Redemptor that I've built is this absolute mess. Like, what this is mental. I'm fully prepared to admit that this is mental. This is a very subjective conversion. I'm well aware that a good number of you are going to be like, what the fuck is that? What have you done? Why did you do that? I honestly don't really. No, it just got more ridiculous as I went on with these things. It was like, okay, well, the last one looked like a full-on artillery thing. What can I do that's more mental than that? I will take a Skaven Warp Lightning Cannon. I will place it on the top. I mean, it's placed on the top in such a way that it fits properly into the into the gap that you normally have the missile launcher in. So, you know, I've done it properly. It's properly nestled in there. It's got the back of the macroplasma incinerator. So it's like it's still got that kind of plasma-y look at the very back, which, you know, it's very it's a long gun. That it wouldn't have worked on the arm. And I didn't want it sticking out without an arm. I just thought it would be amazing to have it on the top, so that's what I did. Again, green achieved the same way as before. And then when it came to putting the armour on and deciding what to do with other weapons and stuff, I had the rocket pods from a Storm Talon going spare, so I thought that would be a fun thing to put on either side. The legs at the bottom are on backwards, just because it seemed to change the nature of the pose a little bit. It made it look more braced in a way. I'm well aware it looks mad, don't worry. And then when I came to do the arms, I was like, you know what? I don't know if it works with 2 arms. I think it looks too busy with 2 arms. Can you really have just a one-armed dread? Like, not even a weapon on the other side, just one arm? And then I thought, well, I've already stuck a Warp Lightning Cannon on the top of it, so yeah, why not? Why not just have one arm? So that's why he's only got one arm, because, you know, if you're going to do it proper. So yeah, and on the other side is essentially a hatch, or what I'm preferring to think of as some sort of like insertable energy core to power the obscenely long and dumb weapon on top, which is just from the Chaos, I think it's just from the Chaos Vehicle sprue, if I remember correctly, which hilariously absolutely slotted onto the existing slot for the arm. Absolutely perfect. Flawless. It was great. Loved it. So yeah, that's the 6th Redemptor. It's easily the most mad out of all of them, although, I mean, it's mad by the standard of the other Redemptors. To be honest, I still think the Contemptor with the wheel, whilst it is mad in a different way, like, it's still mad, but it's just not quite the same kind of mad. And again, the Contemptor with the 2 Morghast blades it's still pretty mad. It's just, again, mad in a different way. But that is the consistent theme with this army at the very least. You can't say that, like, they don't match in terms of all being mental. So yeah, that is currently what we have in terms of finished Dreadnoughts. There is a second Tech Marine, but he needs a lot of work. He needs a lot of paint put on him. He's not ready for display at all. In terms of things in progress, we've got this guy, as I said before, going to act as essentially as a Mortis Dread. And I'm just in the process of making him suitably insane to match all the others, because of course you've got to do that. You can't just have a normal looking lad with all the others around here, because, well, that would actually look a bit weird. And the counts as Leviathan. Which again, bit mental, not going to lie, a little bit mental. I've wanted a Decimator for ages, right? I've wanted one of these for so long, and they're out of production for God knows how long. You could buy the weapons, but you couldn't buy the actual model, and it always pissed me off. I was always like, just give me the thing. I just want the thing. Occasionally they'd pop up on eBay for silly money, and then I was at Warhammer World last Monday, and I was looking on Forge World, because I was like, I'm either going to get a Contemptor, or I'm going to get a Leviathan. Which do I want to buy? Which do I want to get? What am I after? And just on a whim, I think it was when we were having lunch, I was just talking about how, actually, I really wish the Decimator was around. And I checked Forge World's site whilst I was sat in Warhammer World with Forge World, like 30 seconds walk away. And it was back. And it hadn't been back for ages. I'm sure it hadn't been back for ages. And so I did what any sensible person would do. I bought it. I bought the Decimator, and I also bought the Gravflux Bombard and a Leviathan Siege Claw, and was like, well, everything else in this Dreadnought army is ludicrous, so why not run a Decimator as a Leviathan and do that? So I did. And then because it's me and I can't help myself, it's got the is it the Icarus autocannon actually from the Imperial Knight kit, which goes in the top there and does come off. It's drilled in. But yeah, I felt like he needed just a little bit of extra firepower if he was going to keep up with all his dreadnoughty brethren. So now he's got that on the shoulder. It's been a bit of work trying to remove some of the chaos iconography. It's taken a little while. I'm trying to be very, very careful. I'm also being very careful with how I move this, because it's, for the most part, blue tacked together. I've got, like, I don't know where this blue tack was made, but it's like God strength blue tack, which I'm managing to coat the insides of sockets, and it's just about keeping everything nice and firm, but if I wiggle it around too much, it'll just disintegrate, so I'm being very careful. But yeah, that is currently where we are at with the insane Dreadnought army. It's ridiculous, it's silly, it's been a hell of a lot of fun to build so far. It's nowhere near done. I've still got plenty more stuff to do. Still got a Contemptor to build. And I've still got 2 Redemptors to buy, to do conversions that I've had in mind. And it's just going to keep growing. It's one of those projects that's always fun, and the paint scheme is really nice and easy. It's just spray it with Army Painter gunmetal is what I'm using at the moment. Slather it in Nuln, slather it in Seraphim Sepia. And then once that's done, rust up all the bits I want to rust up. 2 coats of Typhus Corrosion, and I'm using Cromlech weathering powder at the moment, orange rust and red rust. And once that's done, I just go over the detail with some of that really nice liquid gold, liquid copper, or liquid silver, depending on which dread it is. They've all got different patches on them that are using different ones. And then do the green. And again, even the green is so simple, nice and easy. It's a project that does not require a huge amount of time, a huge amount of like killing yourself over small details. It's just a fun project to do. So yeah, that is where we're at. I'm really happy with how they've come out so far, and they've had a couple of games and they've won both. So it's, you know, it might be stupid, but it's not 100% terrible, which is actually kind of nice. I don't care whether they win games or not, but let's face it, it's nice to win occasionally. So that is where we're at with the Dreadnought mob. I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you get a little bit of motivation and inspiration from it to start your own daft project if you've got something in mind. I'm sure I will move on to other mech-based shenanigans at some point. Orcs are calling to me pretty damn hard, I'm not going to lie, but I've already had an orc army, so I'm trying to resist, see if there's anything else ludicrous I can do with other races first. Thank you very much for watching. If you fancied, there is a link to my Patreon in the description down below, which you can click and go to if you'd like to. You don't have to if you don't want to. There is also a link to Element Games, which is an affiliate link, so if you buy any 40k stuff from that and you do it through that link, I get something for that. You don't spend anything extra. If anything, you literally just save money because they give like between 15 and 25% off. But that's another way to help the channel if you'd like to. You can click the videos, all of that stuff. Click it if you like. Don't click it if you don't want to. And I will see you for the next one. Toodaloo.